Thinking of taking things seriously in your Airbnb business and wondering if you need an LLC to get started? Well, that's exactly what we are going to cover in today's video. But before we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Hey everyone, my name is Jorge Contreras, and over the last 5 years, I've been able to create time, financial, and location freedom with my own Airbnb business, allow me to live a life by design to spend more time with my family, and giving me the time freedom to make videos just like this to help others with their financial goals. Now, starting an Airbnb business can be very tricky if you've never done this before. So my goal in this video is to break things down and help make it a lot easier for you. Let's start by answering the question, do you need to start an LLC in order to start your Airbnb business? The answer is, it truly depends. Now, let me give you a couple examples. There's a lot of people that I've seen, they start their LLC, they got business cards, they got a website, and then I'm like, where's your Airbnb? So sometimes people focus too much on being 100% ready, trying to line everything up because they want it to be perfect, but then they don't have an Airbnb. So typically, I like to tell my students, hey, you know what? Start your Airbnb first and then get the LLC after. But now let's dive into what are the two most important reasons why somebody would start an LLC. Well, number one, it's for the asset protection. And let me break this down. If you own an Airbnb business, a barbershop, and a restaurant, you wouldn't want to do all these three businesses under your personal name. Why? Well, God forbid you got into an accident, you really hurt someone, and now they're trying to sue you personally. Anything that is tied to your social security number, they can come after. However, if you have an LLC for your Airbnb business, another entity, LLC or corporation for your barbershop, an LLC or corporation for your restaurant, well, guess what? They can come after you, but typically your businesses have additional layers of protection. This is what we call asset protection and shielding your assets from one another. On the other hand, the same reason would apply if you are going into business in a partnership. It's just like being married. So let's say that Tom and Mary go into a business partnership and Mary ends up hurting somebody, they come and sue her, and then Tom, even though he had nothing to do with this incident, they're now gonna sue him also. Why? Because they don't have an LLC. But if they did have an LLC for the Airbnb business, they would sue Mary. The Airbnb business has its own LLC, its own tax ID number, or as we like to refer, an EIN, employee identification number. It's basically its own entity, and it is shielded from anything from the outside. So yes, having a LLC will provide you asset protection that you wouldn't have without the LLC. So that is definitely the number one reason why having an LLC makes so much sense. The second reason you would want to have an LLC is to establish business credit. This is super powerful because as you grow your business and it becomes more successful, you may want to start to apply for business lines of credit and also business credit cards that earn you points for maybe travel, hotels, cashback, whatever you desire. And if you've seen some of my other videos on this channel, I talk about using OPM, other people's money. Well, when you are establishing your business credit, you can apply for business credit cards, which again, you're using OPM, other people's money, also known as leverage. And think about this. How many Airbnbs can you launch if they didn't require any of your money to get started? An infinite amount, because you have no limit. Typically, people are unable to grow or scale their businesses because they run out of money. But if you're using business credit cards, business lines of credit, you can never run out of money. The third reason why it makes sense to have an LLC is it gives you an additional layer of credibility. Now, just to clarify, you don't need an LLC to apply and to speak to property owners and managers about subleasing their properties. But I have noticed over the last 5 years of being in this business that it does provide an additional layer of credibility, because now you are presenting yourself as an entity, as a business, as an LLC, rather than just an individual. The fourth reason why I love having LLCs and building business credit is that business credit does not show up on your personal credit report. So let me give you an example. If you owe $10,000 on a personal credit card, and now you want to go and purchase a property, there is something called DTI. It stands for debt to income ratio. And whenever you have car loans, student loans, home loans, credit card debt, it shows up on your personal credit report, and it does impact as to how much purchasing power you will have. However, if you have those same $10,000 of credit card debt, but in business credit versus personal credit, the business debt will not show up on your personal credit report. So it doesn't impact your purchasing power when you are buying properties. So let's take this a step further. If you are in a position where you can actually afford to do the LLC right away, then maybe it makes sense to do it right away. If you are in a position where you don't have the finances and you have to pick between starting your LLC or starting your first Airbnb, of course, my recommendation is start the Airbnb first. Then get the LLC later, where you can reinvest some of the cash flow from your Airbnb into starting your LLC and start building that asset protection and business credit. The other reason, as I mentioned earlier, why it would make sense to do it immediately is if you're starting this business or any business in a partnership, because you want to shield yourself from each other. Now let's talk a little bit about whether you should hire somebody to start your LLC or whether you should do it yourself. But before we do, if you're liking this content so far, make sure you hit that like button, because I'm about to give you my personal opinion on this. So look, yes, there are companies out there like LegalZoom and many others where you can set up your own LLC. And this may make sense if you are on a really tight budget and you're more of a DIY type of person. But my personal opinion is this. Look, I go to the dentist because the dentists are professionals. I'm not gonna do my own dental work. I don't cut my own hair. I don't cut my own lawn. But I'm also in a place in my business where I can afford these types of services so that I can focus on higher income producing activities, as well as in other areas that give me a better return on investment on my time. Also, I'm not an expert at setting up LLCs. So depending on where you are in your income and in your business, it may make more sense to do it yourself if you're just getting started, if you really need to keep costs low, but you really need to do your research, because setting up a LLC incorrectly can be costly in the later end. But again, in my personal opinion, I'd rather just hire it out for a few $100s more. I can get a professional who's an expert, who is somebody that this is all they do every single day, and just pay them and delegate it to them. Here's another thing when it comes to having an LLC, and a huge advantage is you don't want to commingle your bank accounts, meaning I wouldn't recommend for you to use your same checking account that you use for your daily expenses and use that for your Airbnb business, because you're not gonna know what the actual revenue, expenses, and profit, monthly cash flow is at the end of each month. So typically by having an LLC, you're gonna set up a business checking account at your local branch, and now you'll have a designated checking account under the LLC where all the income from Airbnb will flow into the checking account. All the expenses from your Airbnb business will flow out of the checking account. And then boom, when it comes to tax time, your books are gonna be super clean and super easy to understand, so you can properly have somebody do your taxes. Now, I do wanna answer one more question before we wrap up this video. And this question is typically, hey Jorge, should I set up an LLC per Airbnb business? And look, the way I've done it is typically for properties that I'm subleasing, I put them all into one LLC. Now again, this is more of my preference. Again, I'm not a CPA or an attorney, so speak to a professional in order to get advice on what you should do. But the way I've done it is for any properties that are on the subleasing strategy or on the management strategy, I put them all under one LLC. And what I did for many years is any properties that I own, I did put them in their individual LLC. Now, because I'm in California, there is a $800 a year franchise fee that you have to pay no matter what, even if you didn't bring in any money. So you do have to keep in mind all the different costs associated with having an LLC. So what I'm doing now is to keep costs down, I am putting 2 to 3 properties that I own per LLC, because again, the cost can really add up. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching this video, and down below in the description, I do have a free ebook that you can download. So check it out in the description down below. Also, on my channel, I have some great videos on starting your Airbnb business without owning property. So make sure you check out another video, and don't forget to hit that subscribe and the notification bell. See you on the next one.